Hello there, welcome to my YouTube channel Saint Nightingale. In this tutorial video, I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew this spiral sleeves. Let's go. So first of all, you need to do is to cut your portion of the sleeves, the part of the sleeves that you'll be working with and sewing this spiral sleeves on. Then I worked with about 54 inches wide organza fabric. I folded this 54 inches into two and then cut out this piece of material. I measured out 7 inches wide and cut it out across the fabric. As you can see, the lines on the fabric shows that this has been cut already, so that when I fold into two, I'll be getting about 3.5 inches, and finally I have 3 inches wide. So I took this piece of fabric to the ironing board, folded into two, and used the iron to press it down because I want to make this as flat as possible, also so that when I'm passing my fish line, it will be able to sit properly into this line that I've created with the iron, right? So I'm trying to use the steam iron now to flatten every part of this piece of fabric. After flattening out, I proceeded to use my scissors to trim out the excess, and I'll be doing this across the 8 strands of fabric that I'll be working with. So after trimming out with my scissors, I picked up my lighter to burn the edges. I don't know if some of you are familiar with my other tutorial video on how to sew ruffled sleeves organza. I used the same method to burn the edges, right? So I've gotten 8 strands of organza fabric from that organza that I'll be using for my spiral sleeves. So let's go to the main fabric now. So I went to my ironing board as well, placed the sleeves. I've closed the bottom part of the sleeves to get the center point, right? So I've gotten the center point. I'm marking that out. I picked up my long ruler now to draw a straight line so I can get the center of the fabric, and it will help me to better position the spiral that I'll be working with so that it's better aligned on that portion of the fabric. I'm going to be sewing this spiral sleeves on just one hand of the fabric, or the style. The style has 2 sleeves, but then the spiral sleeves will only be on one portion of the sleeves. So after getting the center point of the sleeves, I went on to mark the round sleeve measurement. The round sleeve measurement for the person I'll be working with is 12 inches, right? So I marked 6 inches on the left and on the right to be able to get 12 inches. I proceeded downwards to also get the round sleeve measurement around the mid sleeve area, which is 11 inches. So I went on to mark 11 inches on that portion, and I went to the wrist area. The wrist measurement I'll be working with is 8 inches, so I went on to mark the portion that I'll be working with on the fabric, right? So after doing this now, I can already see, I'm marking this so that I can see where I'll be working with, so that when I finish sewing my spiral sleeves, it won't go out of this marking, so that when I join the sleeves, it's as accurate as possible. So I picked up my measuring tape again and took out 1.5 inches from that straight line upwards, and then began using freehand to draw out the spiral shape or the curve that I want to achieve on this portion of the sleeves that I'll be working with, right? So I made use of a colored chalk so that it's easy for me to see when sewing on it. So because I'll be working with 8 strands, I made use of 8 lines, or rather draw 8 lines on the sleeves. So now let's go back to the organza fabric. For me to be able to achieve this, I pushed the fishing line into the part that I ironed, that I flattened out, if you can remember, and then I started sewing a straight line just beside the fishing line. When sewing this on your machine, you make sure that your lever, that's the one just by your leg side, by your right leg, is not sitting, the teeth of the machine is not sitting solely on the fabric or on the machine. It's not closing in tightly. You use your leg to shift the lever a bit. I will show you what I mean. So you use your leg to push a bit, just like I'm doing with my hand. You push it a bit, and I'll show you what the reaction is. You can see the foot of the machine is a bit raised, and that's how I was able to sew this on the fabric, right? So I continued with that, and I sewed on a straight line. Because you're working with a fishing line, it tends to shift out of the setting, but then what I did was to use my other hand to hold the fabric as I'm sewing in, so that the fishing line can sit properly and follow the path that I want it to follow, right? And that way it won't shift out of the straight line that I want to achieve. Remember, I'm sewing on that line that I flattened out on the ironing board so that the fishing line can sit properly, and then I continued with this process till I was able to sew across all 8 strands of the organza. Alright, so after sewing this out, I proceeded to now joining this on the sleeves. So let me show you how I did this. Remember, I told you that after working with the chalk, I made use of I decided to draw out 8 lines because I have 8 strands of organza fabric to work with, right? So I placed the sharp edge, and that's the part I already burnt with the lighter. I placed it on the first line, and then I started sewing it following that curve that I had created on the sleeves. Alright, so let's proceed to doing this on the remaining part of the lines, right? So I continued, and this is what it looks like eventually after sewing across all 8 strands. The last strand of organza was turned inwards, and this is what it looks like. It looks so much like a flower. So for that part, that single line, I'm going to be closing it, rather covering up that part with a sprinkle of beads across that opening, or that center part, so that it just adds more flair and beauty to this spiral look. Also, for the tip, I cut out the excess, and I used my lighter to also burn the edges of this excess. So I'm going to join this on the main fabric now, and we'll see what this eventually turned out to look like. So after joining on the upper body, I joined the lower body of the dress, and then I decided to cover up that portion with the beads, and this is what it looks like. Let's show you what the view, let me show you what the total view of this looks like. I mean, see the floral or spiral movement of the sleeves. It's so lovely. I mean, I love green. I'm beginning to fall in love with the color green. This is what the entire look looks like. If you have any questions for me, do not forget to leave them down below in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time for you to click on that subscribe button. Also share my content to all of your platforms so that persons can learn a thing or two about this technique. From me to you, it's bye bye. Keep creating magic.